Yo, what's cooking good lookins? Rando Ranger here, back with another video. Today I'll be making a tier list on the current characters of Jujutsu Shenanigans, and hopefully this helps your players get an idea of who they want to play. Right now, I think all of the characters are pretty good, but some just have crazier things than others, which I'll explain as I'm ranking them. Anyways, with that out of the way, I'll be doing this in chronological order of the characters. My basis for measuring will mostly be the tech, how simple they are, and their awakening. Their awakening won't have much influence because you won't always have it, and also, it just wins you the fight sometimes. I'll have a video on the characters and their tech, which I'll link up here, but let's get started on the video now. Whoa, how did this get here? Well, you guys already know what I want. Let's get started on the video now. Starting off with Gojo, this guy is pretty strong all around. All of his moves have some capability to combo off of Ragdoll, and they can all combo into each other seamlessly, meaning his combos overall for bread and butter require little to no skill. His special at a first glance doesn't seem that useful, but with the teleport behind tech, which is stupid easy to pull off, it quickly becomes the craziest approach tool in the game, since it allows you to hit behind someone's block at almost unreactable speeds, and you can avoid most things because you're behind them, such as Choso's Plasma Wave, or even Hollow Purple, which makes it just a crazy tool for evasive too. His awakening, personally, I think is second only to Mahito's awakening because you can avoid so many things by just throwing people around. I'd say this puts Gojo easily into S tier, and it's fitting as the strongest. Next off we have Yuji. This guy used to be S tier, though after his latest nerfs, I think that would actually place him a little bit below Hakari. Unless you decide to be that guy and use that weird Black Flash combo extend, in which case I think he would be above Hakari in high A tier. But I'm sure this is a tech/bug that will be removed soon, so don't depend on it. Because usually mainly relies on his mix-ups, and honestly sometimes hitting that Black Flash from behind is just chance, he always has S tier potential if you're good enough with the mix-ups and whatnot, and a big factor is definitely lock-on. Lock-on is a bit of a problem with this sort of stuff for hitting behind because, you literally lock onto them. So, I haven't noticed anything too crazy with lock-on so far, but just watch out for that. In my tech video, I do also cover workarounds that apply to these recent nerfs to help you out a bit, but some of them are really weird and inconsistent, so you might want to just switch to a different character. Hakari is a good second choice if you don't want to play Gojo. Because of this, I'll be putting Yuji in A tier. Lately, Hakari has risen to popularity after the recent nerfs to Yuji, which makes sense since he's able to dish out a ton of damage and even gets a nice little counter, which I personally think is better than Manji Kick at the moment. My reasoning being that it doesn't take up a move, so he has a full moveset, and I'm pretty sure it negates the damage to some things that Manji Kick didn't. I did do him a little bit dirty in my tech video, I will admit, so I can make an individual guide for him if you guys are interested, and his guide will be a little bit more fleshed out due to his rising popularity. I'll say he's about as simple as Gojo, since he has high damage along with simple combos, and at the moment, he is making his way into S tier with the recent nerfs to Yuji and Gojo. His ball is also a very good option for starting combos risk-free, so it works as an approach tool, but let's talk about the negatives. While he has a lot of good things, he starts to fall off a little bit later on, since he's not incredibly techy, meaning his character's skill ceiling isn't high, but since he just has high damage and a counter, I think that fundamental skill can make up for this. His awakening is also very strong though, so you really shouldn't be losing any fights in it, though my only problem with it is that you don't start off with Awakening. You start off in your domain where you can easily die since you're basically just yourself. With all these factors considered though, I would put him into S tier below Gojo. Our next character is Megumi. Now I don't think there's anything that stands out with this guy besides just how much of his owner he is. I hate fighting Megumi, and I hate playing him too. Getting into his kit though, he has a bread and butter combo that you just can't really do anything about at all, so if he just avoids you and rinses and repeats, he can win pretty much any fight by just waiting until he gets into a winning spot. Except against Satoru Gojo, of course, since he can teleport behind him. As much as I hate to say it, the best way to use his special is probably just running away for cooldowns, and it works. His awakening is overall pretty good, he has some good tools, but if you're not a good distance away from who you're fighting, it's not going to go well since they all have a decent window. How good this guy is really depends on how you play him. If you're being extra cheesy, he goes straight into S tier, but if you're playing him normally, he's one of the worst characters. Because of this, I'll be putting him into B tier since nobody really plays him, and playing him aggressively is a terrible idea. I don't think anybody enjoys playing him passively, and I know nobody enjoys fighting him playing passively. If you do plan on playing him, well, you just need to rinse and repeat the combo, get into an advantageous spot, and you kind of just win from there. But just don't be that guy. It's not fun for either party involved. I'm going to include Mahoraga next, since honestly, he does count as a pseudo character. Unlike most awakenings, he doesn't run out indefinitely since he's able to fill his awakening meter, and he does basically have 1.5 movesets when you consider his wheel spin. So I think that is enough to become a pseudo character, if not a character. I think it's pretty clear that when it comes to any type of group fight, this guy goes into S just because of all the tools he has to deal with random bullshit. He can adapt to all the domains, so immediately that makes his large health pool even better. And he also has a good amount of range. The only problem with him is that he can't handle 1v1s well, since if the other person is smart, they're just going to run away and let his awakening meter deplete, putting him to B tier for 1v1s against anyone who can run away from him. Our next character is going to be Mahito. This guy used to be the top of S tier, but with the nerfs he got, I think he's definitely more balanced, and thank God for that. His base form doesn't have much tech anymore, and it's pretty straightforward. His Hammer Hand's Ragdoll combo extend feels more like a combo ender than the nail in the coffin of a combo, and his special is a pretty balanced one, since it just changes his hands to cool dashes. His awakening is definitely the best in the game, no doubt about it, considering you basically get 2 awakenings, since you get to just transform, and you get another awakening bar. Perfect Mahito also happens to have the best moves in the game, along with healing you a little bit again after your initial awakening. If awakening carry more weight in the rankings, this guy would be S tier off of that alone, but since it's just his awakening, I'm putting him into A tier, because he is also just a pretty good character, nothing like too crazy, but his awakening is just insane. Choso is an interesting guy, and he has a decent amount of tech. His special is just the spine of his moveset, since his moves honestly just suck without them. And I think it's kinda cool how he has a counter that doubles as a move, meaning he does have a pseudo counter and a full arsenal, which is pretty crazy. Of course, this is made up for by his special, making him able to use his moves. He can't really, live without his special, so it's nothing, crazy or out of the ordinary like Hakari's. I think a lot of his tech is definitely a bit hard to pull off, and mix that in with how situational some of the stuff is. This guy is not super easy to use. You have to keep track of your blood orbs, but that can be circumvented by just playing passive and only going in when you're in the advantage. His awakening isn't the strongest by a long shot, but with the recent buffs, I think he could be climbing up there. Low-key, I do think it does suck a little bit, but it's not super bad or anything since you have plenty of iframes covering his whiffs. Because of everything he has to offer, he easily becomes S if you know what you're doing with him, but I think it's also worth mentioning that you can play cheese with him because of his orbs being stupid, but that's just another Megumi situation, except defensive. This counters just about everyone, except Satoru Gojo of course, since he can teleport behind you almost whenever you want. As I said earlier, I do think Choso does belong in S tier, but with the things previously mentioned, I will be putting him into a low S tier at the moment. Our last added character is Todo, and I'd say he's last and maybe least because his moveset isn't just finished yet, but I do think he has high potential to become S tier, maybe even the top just looking at his damage and the moves he has. He does have things similar to Hakari, but he just does more damage and the moves come off faster with less end lag, so it's a pretty obvious choice which one is better at the moment in terms of their individual moves. Once he gets all of his moves, it is likely he'll be outpacing Hakari. So my current predictions for him is that he will be S tier, and he might actually just be the top of S tier on release, but we'll have to see. His special is also pretty decent. It's not crazy or anything, but it can mix up people from time to time. Anyways, that's it for the video, guys. Thank you for watching, and if you want to see more videos like this, hit that like button and subscribe. Rando Ranger out.